theater had always been a very visual medium, and then for a brief time the technology gave us sound but not pictures. And that gave us something kind of special. That gave us something that made you be informed by the words alone. And that's beautiful.
You prissy-faced, no-account, hook-nosed, sissy-minded, pock-marked, scrawny, hairy lip, ugly little girl! Pretty much all my lines exactly.
It's sort of been stewing in my mind for a long time as far as I know. It came out most recently when a friend of mine, Andrew Sullivan, and I were out one night, and he and I both went to Rhodes College, and after we graduated, Rhodes got a radio station. And just in sort of idle conversation, he had mentioned, wouldn't it have been cool if they had a radio station when we were there and we could have done some theater on the radio. And I think that's where it came from. And that's the story I've been telling. But recently I talked to a friend of mine from high school who said, well, hey, don't you remember you and I, when we were in middle school or even younger, we sat up all night one night trying to write a radio script. We were trying to write some big sci-fi radio script, and I had completely forgotten that, but it's absolutely true. So it comes from an interest in writing, it comes from an interest in acting, it comes from me listening to old tapes of The Shadow when I was a kid, you know, old cassette tapes that I would buy at the Cracker Barrel or whatever, and it just comes from a general love of all the different elements that go to make up a project like this.
And don't let bullies boss you around. Somewhere there are folks who will stick beside you.
The guys who founded Chatterbox, I certainly, I think we're all very big fans of language. I think we all love what it does.
Well, when you talk to God, tell him to knock some sense into you.
You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Quick as Quicksilver, Ackerman back out to the front porch. Lock the front door.
Sometimes I'd rather hear the 1,000 words.
And they sat down to a meal of biscuits and country ham and fried eggs and scrambled eggs and fried
what
chicken
language
and
can
mashed
do and the
potatoes.
pictures it can draw, sometimes it's so much more engaging and interesting than the picture is alone. Sometimes you have to work a little harder, and that makes you more engaged, and that makes you more invested in the piece of art that you're experiencing.
Early on when we were sort of coming up with how this whole thing was going to work, we decided that, you know, doing all this, like recording all the lines separately and downloading stuff off the internet, downloading sound effects off the internet and splicing everything together in some program in post-production, it's just no fun. It was just tedious, and sort of lost the charm of what we were doing. I think first of all, it never sounds quite true to me. There's something about it that doesn't read quite right. But second of all, you know, you think, okay, we need the sound of footsteps. Well, you know, we can record in some sort of sonically perfect environment, and we can go layer in the sound of footsteps later, or you can clap two shoes together right there in the room and instantly have the sound of shoes in a way that lets the actors interact with that. So once you start going down that road, you start finding all this great old sound effects contraptions that they used to use in the golden age of radio, and you think, well, this is just the way to do it. This stuff is cool. This is what's fun. So I think a huge part of the charm of Chatterbox is that we try to create this whole thing, this whole production, live in the room. So as much as possible, the musician is right there waiting for a cue from the director. The actors are all right there on mics. The sound effects person is right there with this big table full of stuff waiting to create all these sounds, and again in a way that everyone can sort of interact with each other. And it has much more of a live theater feel, just because it's more fun that way.
I also like that it's audio theater, but it's online. I mean, we do stuff with radio as well, but you know, the internet has become sort of the great equalizer, and so we've heard from people all over the world who have used these, who have downloaded these stories or these pieces and have enjoyed them very much, and people who have used them for study, people who have used them just in different ways, so that's kind of neat too.
You know, it's free just because I think at best we could, we could charge a couple of bucks for each production, and we could cut down into like a fifth the number of people who would actually listen to it. So as opposed to making 10 or 20 bucks for each production that we do, we would just rather people listen to it. And I think part of what's so exciting about the internet is that it just allows people to connect in a very genuine way and in a very non-commercial way, and share what they have, share what they're able to do. And we really want to just participate in that. We want to get in the stream out there and sort of show off what we're able to do. And I think that the best way to do that is to just offer it up free and in goodwill, and say, you know, if this is interesting to you, if this is exciting to you, share it. You know, write something in response to it, talk to us about it, talk to your friends about it, something to sort of bring back this exchange of ideas among people, and to bring a little bit of artistry, I hope, back into the mainstream.